Hi all, Dr. Karma here. We were going to do this lesson in class, but instead, this online lesson is brought to you by COVID-19. COVID-19 for when your life wasn't stressful enough before. So today's library session, I'm going to teach you how to tell me the call number of a specific book, give me the data of another book in our library, and I'm showing you how to find a book in our library because there are some professors who are going to ask you to have a physical copy of the book. They're just wanting to make sure that at least in one of your texts for your research paper that you've actually gone into the library for. I'm going to show you how in our system you can tell what floor those books would be on, and then how to find a good non-academic source on a topic and find a peer-reviewed article on that topic. So of course I'm hoping that before you're doing this part of today's lesson that you've made sure that you understand the difference between scholarly academic stuff and non-scholarly non-academic stuff. Today, in looking for this, I am going to be looking for text related to the 2004 British zombie film Shaun of the Dead. So I could start with Google and see what I get there. So Google Shaun of the Dead. You want to always put your searches into quotation marks or they're just going to pick up everything with the word Shaun and everything with the word dead. Okay. Only 2.5 million results. These results are the most basic things that you're going to see, and I'm not going to wade through 2.5 million results to find what I need. And that is one of the reasons why I'm never going to, if I'm starting a research paper, I'm never going to start with Google. I'm always going to start with my library. Here at Sac City, we're going to start with the Sac City Library. So the first thing I told you that I wanted you to be able to do is to find a book on the topic in the library. So for that, I can just use our main things here. I'm going to put Shaun of the Dead. I want books on this. Sorry. Include ebooks. Why not? Let's see what we got. Okay. Not surprisingly, we have 2 books about the horror and sci-fi genres, and so what this is telling me is we have this book that talks about Shaun of the Dead, we have this book that talks about it, there isn't a book just on Shaun of the Dead, and that's not surprising to me. And you'll notice that this one is available online. You could just read that now. And then this, if I wanted a physical copy of the book, I could go get it. And look, I could go get it at the American River College Library on the 3rd floor. You'll see that it says here call number and then has the number. And this call number is the call number that you're going to find it in any library in this country, basically. So if you go to the UC Davis Library, you're going to also look for this number. If you go to the UC Berkeley Library, the CUNY, City of New York libraries, if you go to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., they're all going to have this same number. And of course, that's to make it easier for us when we're doing research. Not every library system tells you directly what floor. So for example, if you were trying to find this at UC Davis, the search page won't tell you what floor it's on. They'll just tell you the number. But then you would realize that the books that start with P are going to be up on the 4th floor, and you would see that on the map. So you would go up, search for the P's, and just find this catalog number. Let's see if we can get more information about this source by clicking on it. And of course we can. So it tells us that I might not be able to go to the library and get it next week, but okay. So it gives me some more information about what's in it. We've got the description of the book, the content of the book, right? And it tells me that we've got 510 pages and all of this other stuff. So this is a good source for me to figure out if I'm going to actually go get this book off the shelf or not. That was simple. That was easy. We should be able to find a book in our library. Now, I also said that you need to be able to find a good non-academic source. Google can certainly help you with that, but this is something that you could do just in our library on its own. So if you said everything for Shaun of the Dead and then search on our main library page. Okay, we have 163 results, and you'll see that we've got a movie review, an article in Hollywood Reporter, which is also a movie review, something called Campaign Casebook, newspaper article. So all of these are non-academic, non-scholarly sources. So again, you can find what you need in our library page. If you want to find academic sources, that's going to be a little trickier. Now, if you start back up here and say, I just want, well, I actually have to go down. Real-time problems. Okay. So we've got articles 51. I'm going to start this search again. Oh, wait, scholarly journals. Okay. So this is telling me that here in Los Rios, I have access to 2 scholarly journals. One is in Spanish, but here's the thing. That's not true. You have access to way, way, way more than that. And that's why the chapter I had you read explains that for an academic source, you should never start with just that basic library search. You want to go into the databases. So let's go back to the Sacramento City College main page, and you'll notice that if I scroll down, it says, hey, research databases, and that's where I want to go. You'll see that I can go into certain categories. So if, for example, I knew that I was studying criminal justice and law, I'm not going to start with general stuff. I'm going to start with the databases listed in this section. If I'm going to talk about theater and performing arts, then I'm going to start in this section. Now, for something like Shaun of the Dead, I could do that through literature, but I could also do something like Shaun of the Dead through some basic searches here. So, I mean, if I were doing this, I would go into the literature databases and the general databases, and I'm going to show you why you want to use more than one database to do a good job. If we start with just academic search complete at BESCO, and yes, I'm me. Again, make sure that your search term is in quotation marks, even though it shows that it is a search term here. Just, it's going to be so much easier if you put it in quotation marks. Now, it's given me 78, but remember, I want scholarly peer-reviewed journals, and it gives me 3. So that same source that the main page was showing me, and then 2 others. So one is on food and one is on displaced people and political refugees that mentions Shaun of the Dead. That's really interesting. Now, for my quiz, if I were asking you to find me a peer-reviewed source on Shaun of the Dead, you could just stop here. But if you were doing research on Shaun of the Dead, you don't want to end your search saying, I guess there are only 3 articles on it. That's just not true. So I am going to go back to the SCC main library page. I'm going to go back down to my research databases, and I'm going to see what JSTOR has for me. Shaun of the Dead. I'm going to narrow to articles. I've got 7 again. but these are all actually articles. So here I'm seeing things that I didn't see in EBSCO, right? And so I'm getting things from Modern Language Studies. I'm getting things from Cinema Journal. I'm getting something about Shaun of the Dead that works with foreign policy somehow. Although I think Foreign Policy is a journal that isn't actually peer-reviewed. Don't ask me how I know that. It's a long story. But we see that we can find a lot more information if we're working through the different databases. Now, you might ask, why didn't I just go into Google Scholar? The reason I didn't go into Google Scholar, and you should know this if you did the reading, is because Google Scholar is going to pull results from some of those fake peer-reviewed journals, those open access predatory journals that publish anything, regardless of the quality of the research, just so they can charge authors to get published and make money. Google Scholar is also a problem because you often hit a paywall there. So you're going to find an article that looks great and then you want to read it, and then they'll tell you, well, you can for $15. But if you're starting on our library page, you're going to be seeing the things that you have access to. You can see that what it's showing me here is all stuff where I can download the PDF right now, not have to pay that money, not have to give up on reading something that I want to read. I'd like to also show you another trick just while we're here. Say I was searching for this, and of course, just because I'm talking about Shaun of the Dead doesn't mean I can't bring in what other people have said about zombies, and so you always, of course, want to make your search a little wider sometimes if you want to find contextual information. But then if I put zombies, I realize that it's only going to give me zombies and not zombie 2. So what I'm going to do is the word zombie and then an asterisk, and that means it's going to give me everything starting with zombie. So zombie and zombies. And then let's see what we get. Okay, tons and tons of stuff. And so if I just wanted to look at journal articles on zombies through our library system, I have 3,000 things to work on, which is amazing. And of course, if you're looking at this, you'll see that we're going to get zombie and zombies as our work there, which is exactly what I wanted. So one more thing before we go. Let's go back to the SCC library. I hope you've seen that every time we've gone to this page, there's this button over here that says Ask a Librarian, Chat Now. It says I can make a research appointment. Now, the library is going to be closed at the time of the making of this video for a little longer, but hopefully they're going to still let our librarians work remotely, and so they'll be able to answer your questions. And of course, once all of this COVID-19 stuff is done, you'll be able to make those research appointments. You'll be able to ask your librarians virtually and in person how to help you with your research. They're going to know exactly the databases you should go into. They're going to know exactly how to narrow your search the way that you need to narrow it to do what you need to do. And so always, always, always ask your librarian for help if you get stuck on any means. And don't commit the one big mistake that students do. If your teacher said you need a minimum of 3 sources, don't stop when you found 3 sources. Those 3 sources might not be the sources that you need for this paper. They might not actually help you. And you're not getting any good grades for doing the absolute minimum work that you need to do to pass a paper. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Stay healthy, stay sane. I can't talk. Stay sane, my darlings. Hope to see you soon. Bye.